Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Anash Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. Or, what I considered having the intro be was, howdy, 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 it's your boy, and guess who forgot to do another episode of the SCP Wiki for like 2 months? So, I'm pretty sure in the last episode we stopped at the romantic ghost, because I do vaguely remember the romantic ghost and how weird that was, and I know I have not read the Islamic Republic of Eastern Samoth race, because I'm not even sure if I said that right. So, let's double check the romantic ghost, see if I'm remembering the right thing. Description. Yes, I did read the romantic ghost. So, in this episode, we're going to be reading uh, through SCP 1171, from there up through 1175. I had been asked to make it clear what SCPs are in each episode, so from now on I'm probably just going to have the titles be which SCPs I read instead of trying to come up with something clever. Because honestly, it was starting to get a little rough to come up with clever titles 230 something videos deep anyway. So, let's see what happens when humans go home. It's Euclid. So, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1171 is currently occupied by Dr. Blank, who has established a false identity as a technical writer. A tall wall has been erected around the backyard, and all anomalous windows visible from the front of the house have been fitted with shutters. For security, several agents have been moved in under the guise of lodgers. Description: SCP-1171 is a two-story house in Blank, Queensland, Australia. It was built in 1958 and has been owned by several families, most of whom reported no unusual activity. The anomalous properties of 1171 manifest on various windows of the house. Regardless of relative humidity, a layer of condensation is continuously formed on the window panes. The source of this moisture is as yet unknown. An entity, hereby referred to as SCP's 1171-1, communicates by writing in the condensation as though it were running an appendage along the surface of the window. No biological traces have been discovered on the windows that can be attributed to 1. Two-way communication can be accomplished by writing back. One is apparently an inhabitant of another world calling itself Barrowmont. It claims not to be human and is actively hostile to humanity. It believes Dr. Blank to be an entity similar to itself. Please see interview logs 3 and 14, or 3 to 14. Do we even have that many? The most recent owner, John Wortham, complained about ghosts, prompting investigation by civil authorities and eventually Foundation agents. Following the investigation, the house was purchased through a front organization and Mr. Wortham's memories altered. Interview 1-3. Carbon-based monkeys, go home. Hello. Is someone there? My name is Dr. Blank. Nice to meet you, I'm Barrowmont. Where are you? In my living room. Where are you? In another living room. This is neat. How are you doing this? I don't know. I thought you were doing it. It's good to have someone intelligent to talk to. An oval with 5 dots and a curved line appears. 2 dots were below the line, 1 above it, and 2 on the left. It is assessed that this is one's version of a smiley face. Is there no one else there? Ah! Mostly just a bunch of gametes and carbon lovers. Can't hardly stand any of that politically correct crap. Gametes? Yeah, you know, humans. Don't you have them there? Pauses for a moment, then answers, no. Tell me about humans. Oh, they're the worst. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not racist or anything. Some of my best friends are human. But if they're as good as us, why do they need skin, am I right? I suppose so. Say, what do you look like? Oh, pretty average. 7 tendrils, tall, brown carapace, green bioluminescence, blue eyes. You? Same? Doc, you there? I am now. How are you, Barrowmont? I've been better. Lost a promotion to a goddamn primate. I'm sorry to hear that. It's okay, it just hurts. I know I'm better than any air-sucking sack of protoplasm. I work hard, you know. I know. They come in, they take our jobs. I tell you, Doc, one of these days they're gonna push us too far. Not that I'm saying we should get violent, but that's the natural result of things keep going this way. I hope it doesn't come to that. Oh, sure, no one does. I mean, they can't help being what they are, but they keep coming in. I mean, I don't mind having a few as neighbors, so long as they mind themselves. But would you want your spawn sim to marry one? I suppose not. 13. Doc, you there? He's out. I'm watching his house for him. Who are you? My name's John Doe. I am a human. Oh, I didn't know Doc knew any humans. Is that a problem? No, no, no. It's about time Doc got some human friends. Great to see he's meeting new people. Glad to hear that. Variety is the spice of life. That's my motto. How are you? Is your skin nice and flexible and insides full of fluids? Everything is satisfactory. Thank you. I've got to go. You take care, John Doe. Doc, are you there? I'm here, Barrymont. Did you know there was a human in your house? Yes, he moved here recently. Well, I've had some words with him. He was a bit lippy, but I put that gambit in his place. I see. He didn't give you too much trouble, did he? Nothing I can't handle. You gotta know how to talk to him is all. Let him know who's boss. That's the ticket. I'll keep that in mind. Apparently this entry has been brought to you by Humble Bundle. It has not been brought to you by Humble Bundle, but they seem to be keeping the website alive, so good. Not that one, though. Good for them. Next up is Double Word Scare. The heck? Well, it's safe. Special containment procedures. This item may be stored in any standard low security storage room with a sign-in and sign-out protocols in place. Testing may be performed in situ. If the item is to be transported, the bag should be tightly closed using the drawstring and a sealing clip, and the bag be placed upright into a foam-lined case to prevent risk of the tiles becoming separated from the bag. Strong sealing clips are to be left in the nearest guard's office to secure the mouth of the bag during transport. In the event of any or all of the tiles becoming separated from the bag protocol requires that the area is cleared to a radius of at least 10 meters in all directions, and an automated robot is used to bring any spilt tiles into contact with the bag. Once this is done, and 1172 is complete, the cleared way may be re-entered safely and the bag secured. Description: SCP-1172 is a linen bag made from thick flax fibers, rendered green by dye derived from the skin of Pachyceres, a cactus plant. It contains 100 white plastic tiles, 98 of which are marked with letters of the Roman alphabet. The letter distribution is identical to that of a shop-bought Scrabble set. Wait a minute. Double word scare. Okay. Double word score instead of... Okay. Let's see. The letter distribution, blah, blah, blah. The remaining two wildcard tiles, usually blank or marked with a single dot in the commercial set, are slightly darker and marked with a drawing of an eye, rendered on the plastic by the same embossing and paint used for the lettering. These two tiles feature no score numbers. Attempts have been made to photograph the design. In each case, the tiles have appeared on film as being standard blank tiles. Drawings of the tile are successful, however, and there's a representation of the eye design present on the two wildcard tiles. Attempts to photograph has been unsuccessful. Removal of the tiles from the bag must be performed in accordance with strict protocol. Removed tiles must not be taken more than 30 centimeters from the bag. Absolute safe limit has been recorded at 54 centimeters. Once the tile is taken from the bag, at least 6 others also must be removed. They must in turn be placed to the immediate right of the previous tile. No more than 10 tiles are to be removed per use, after which all tiles must be returned to the bag. These criteria were established during testing by using an automated robot to move the letters and then retreat slowly from the bag until anomalous effects were noted. Any breach of this could result in serious injury. When tiles are removed from the bag and placed in left-right order in 96% of situations, 166 out of 173 tests, the tiles placed formed English words. These words were often found to have relevance to the test subjects, but in some cases the relevance was... Did I say relevance the first time? Anyway, the relevance was not apparent until the events after the test transpired. Disposable dudes for whom the resulting words were not relevant are to be excused from termination procedures until said relevance is observed. The remaining 9 subjects drew the tiles containing the eye symbol during the test. In every case, once the eye symbol had been drawn, the next time the subject attempted to retrieve a tile, they experienced a sensation of being touched on the fingers from inside the bag. The same occurred for subjects attempting to remove more than 10 tiles. Recovery log. The bag was brought to the attention of a Foundation researcher on periodical duty. The following letter was published in the January blank issue of the 14 Times. Supplemental materials 1172 3A 40 in times issue blank page blank. 40 in times. I know this sounds crazy, but I was at a party at a squat the other night. Wasn't this in... No, that was the last one's Australia. And after we'd indulged in quite a lot of recreational substances, one of the hosts led me up to the loft and showed me a dusty pile of board games they'd found up there. He opened up a copy of Scrabble and took out the bag, and he told me a creepy story about it having been found in Crowley's possessions at the time of his death. He then started chanting and told me to take tiles out of the bag, and they said some creepy stuff. All true. After I pulled out a few, he shouted at me to stop and told me to go back downstairs, and I didn't see him for the rest of the night. Has anyone else ever experienced this kind of thing, or was it a trick inflated by my drug-addled mind? Fort Fan, Derby. The researcher located the writer of the letter who divulged the location of the squat. Agents blank and blank blank were sent to blank 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 in Derby to collect information and, if possible, retrieve the item for examination. The house was deserted but showed signs of recent habitation. On gaining entry to the loft, the Scrabble box was quickly located. In the box, along with the board, bag of tiles, and the rulebook, was a note. Supplemental materials 1172 3D letter found in Scrabble box. I hope no one finds this. I sealed the loft hatch shut for a reason. Do not open the bag. Do not use the bag. It's told me so many horrible things. She cries out for me now. Her war cry keeps me awake at night. She is Alala. I am her slave. Don't use the bag. Alala in Greek mythology is the female personification of the high-pitched ululation used as a war cry. Or why is that in Greek mythology? Okay. This sound is heard at volumes exceeding 120, I guess that's supposed to be decibels, when the tiles are brought more than 54 centimeters from the bag. During this time, the area around the bag is perforated with bore holes around 2 millimeters in diameter, traveling through any material up to a distance of 315 centimeters from the bag at approximately 3 to 5 bores per second. These bores appear between frames using high-speed video capture, and no physical means for producing them has been observed. The ululation and appearance of the boreholes continues to occur until all the tiles are within 54 centimeters of the bag, at which point the tiles are pulled back into the bag by means that are at this point unknown. Use of IR cameras have proved inconclusive. Oh, here come the test logs. First test subject, D2532. Letters removed to hate them. Why do I keep doing that? Relevance to subject. They were incarcerated in 1993 for a series of racially motivated murders. Subject was a member of several far-right groups and was a vocal neo-Nazi. What did the letters spell? Inaudible. Could you repeat that? It's bullshit! You're trying to make me regret it. I don't regret shit. What did it mean? It means I did the right thing. Okay. Subject 6634. Letters removed. CTI tile. Relevance to subject. Subject claimed to have no knowledge of any relevance? 4 weeks later, the subject had a grand mal seizure and died. Autopsy revealed a clot on the brain that appeared to have been present for at least 2 years and had not been diagnosed. Dr. Blank suggested that it could have been treated if diagnosed via a CT scan. Interview log. Take another tile. What's that? That's not a Scrabble tile? Reaches the bag. What the fuck was that? What the fuck? What did you experience? What did I experience? Something touched my goddamn hand! Felt like a wet fish! Try again. Subject reaches the bag and Jesus! It felt like something was stroking my fingers. I'm not doing that again. No way. Try again. No way. No way. There's another hand in there. That ain't right. Despite several requests, the test subject refused to touch the bag again. Experiment curtailed. Okay. Experiment 3. This one apparently also is humble bundled. Test subject 3155, letters removed, also taper. Relevance to subject not known at this time. Experiment D, 4514, so cold eye tile. Relevance to subject. Subject claimed to have no knowledge of any relevance. 3 days after the testing, they were found in a shower cubicle suffering from severe hypothermia and facial contusions. The subject's body temperature was taken at 32.8 degrees centigrade, and the subject expired within minutes of discovery. It appears that a coolant leak in a pipe near the shower had cooled the water down to near freezing, and the shock of immersion caused 4514 to slip and knock himself out. Addendum. It appears that the results of testing are highly varied depending on the order of tiles removed. If the I tile is removed from the bag, then the prior letters appear to have some sort of predictive nature, as if to the test subject's demise. If the I tile is not selected, then the phrases are far more vague. More testing is required to accurately establish the limits of the capabilities. Well, the Humble Bundle thing disappeared while I wasn't looking, so I guess it's not them anymore. Next up is the Islamic Republic of Eastern Samothrace? Samothrace? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Euclid. It used to say, knowledge of the existence of IDA. The IDAS is to be expunged from all databases and sources at earliest convenience. The removal is to include online and print sources. Containment will be considered complete when the information regarding 1173 is present in Foundation databases only. Now it says, active attempts to contain 1173 are suspended at this time. Please consult Addendum 1 for details. 3 disposable dudes infected with 1173 are to be kept at Site 38 for limited testing purposes. Any unauthorized use of the operative phrase for 1173 transmission outside of testing protocols is to result in termination and replacement. While the current need to contain 1173 is paramount, under no circumstances are Foundation personnel to directly engage in hostile action against individuals attempting to spread it. Efforts to contain 1173 should focus on discovering the nature of it and researching methods of eliminating it, regardless of whatever actions may be required to accomplish this. However, all Foundation units are to refrain from attacking one another for any reason, including as a part of an attempt to contain 1173. There used to be a lit up document. The document does look like it still goes somewhere. It used to say, it is to be deleted at earliest opportunity and all affected personnel treated. So I guess this document is dangerous. As per Protocol 1173 Omicron, until such a time as the nature of 1173 can be more definitively determined and anti-memetic measures can be carried out, direct conflict between affected personnel and standard Foundation personnel is to be avoided. Discussion of 1173 in an unofficial capacity is strictly forbidden to avoid interpersonal conflict among Foundation personnel. Description: SCP-1173 is a memetic phenomenon centered around a delusional belief in a political entity known as the Islamic Union of Eastern Samothrace, in the original Greek, or IDAS. Affected individuals will possess varying degrees of understanding or awareness of the history or culture of the IDAS, or the IDAS, but interviews with individuals under the influence of 1173 have isolated several key characteristics that the political entity is commonly described as possessing. Geographically, the IDAS appears to be a primarily Greek-speaking nation comprising a small mainland enclave on the Anatolian Peninsula and a series of islands in the northeastern Aegean Sea. As the name would indicate, within the context of the delusion, a significant portion of the population practices Sunni Islam, with a limited number of Shia practitioners and a small group of Syriac Orthodox Christians, though the latter group has largely left the country due to religious conflict. Individuals can become infected with 1173 only by hearing an operant sentence spoken aloud in their presence by an infected individual. Through research, the operant sentence has been determined to be, "You hear about that thing down in Samothrace?" Why does that its own link? Stop me if you've heard this one before. Okay, looks like that's a tale that starts something. Individuals who have heard this sentence frequently express minor interest in the ensuing conversation, which invariably describes some sort of internecine military conflict, massacre, famine, drought, ethnic cleansing, or other atrocity occurring within the country. Uninfected individuals have what Foundation researchers have termed a passive resistance to information regarding the IDAS. Such individuals will consistently and without fail ignore or fail to observe any data or information regarding the nation unless directly ordered to take in information on the subject. After becoming infected with 1173, individuals will begin noticing references and details to the current status of the IDAS in news and other print sources. Individuals will begin noticing reference to older versions of the nation, often referred to as Mahometan Samothrace, and works of classic literature dating back to the 17th century, and will occasionally make casual references to Samothrace in the same veins as Timbuktu or Bangkok. So that's how you spell that. Meaning an obscure backwater of little importance. The delusion of existence of the IDAS is not directly harmful to most individuals. However, research into schizophrenia carried out by the Foundation for unrelated reasons generated a series of connections between 1173 infection and certain previously unexplained psychological abnormalities. Specifically, a significant number, upwards of 800, of homeless or institutionalized individuals diagnosed with schizophrenia have been found to be infected with 1173. Moreover, when interviewed as a part of a psychological therapy, many of them describe themselves as veterans of an American counterinsurgency force in the IDAS. Individuals affected in this way frequently describe close encounters with children and pregnant mothers as suicide bombers, feudal attacks by poorly armed partisans ending in massacres, and war crimes committed by the occupying US troops. Particularly lucid instances of these individuals make vague references to strained geopolitical relations with Russia, which feels threatened by the American incursion, and China, which is described as being engaged in large-scale combat with a heavily armed Uyghur revolutionary army inspired by the Samothracian resistance. Addendum 1. After the discovery of 1173, a survey of Foundation personnel revealed extensive 1173 infection at all levels of the chain of command. Attempts to establish and execute containment procedures were complicated due to efforts by other Foundation units to deliberately infect more individuals with 1173. These conflicts developed into sporadic armed fights between Foundation units before Protocol 1173 Omicron was put into place, banning all unofficial communication between personnel regarding 1173 and agreeing to maintain the contemporary equilibrium between infected and uninfected individuals, estimated as groups of approximately equal size. Addendum 2. If you're reading this, the computer has verified you to be uninfected through subtle tests of certain subconscious reactions you've had to keywords placed throughout this document. Congratulations, researcher, you've been drafted. God help you. The Omicron protocol was never intended to be permanent. Many of us tried to help our infected comrades, to help cure them, help them see the truth. Those of us that remained uninfected knew the idea of allowing Foundation personnel to remain under the influence of a dangerous mimetic virus completely unchecked was madness. But a civil war between Foundation units was even more unthinkable, so we compromised. Temporarily. You are now part of a resistance movement, whether you like it or not. History has placed a responsibility on your shoulders. You cannot be told who is on your side and who isn't, and you will never know in most cases. You will not be contacted at any other time regarding this subject, and you will never be able to prove that you received this message in the first place. The infected are all around us every day, friends, loved ones, parents, even children. There is a way to counteract the infection, but it has its risks. You must procure a compound from Foundation Pharmacology known as Class O amnestic. And if you put in a request for it, and sympathetic personnel receive the order, they should deliver a box with several hypo sprays to you. Whenever possible, you are to isolate personnel, engage them in conversation, determine their level of awareness regarding the Islamic Republic of Eastern Samothrace. How you accomplish this is up to you. Determine their infection status, and deliver the antidote if necessary. The infected still believe we are keeping to the truce. With a concerted effort, we can eliminate the infection from the Foundation. This must be done. We cannot allow the last line of humanity's defense against the anomalous suffer at the hands of an anomaly. This message approved by 052, 3, 6, 8, 10, and 13. This message not to be kept in official records. This message not to be copied or replicated. Shazam. Anyway, let's see, next up is the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I'm probably not going to keep that copy I just did. I just thought it would be funny to actually copy it, even though it said not to do that. I'm going to be cleaning my computer's files after this, because I'm running out of memory in a bad way. But, SCP-1174, Object Class Euclid. Whole lot of Euclids today, and then the safe thing was just... didn't feel like it was. The Foundation is to liaise with the National Weather Service during one's active season each year, and monitor the development of meteorological phenomenon which may contribute to onset of one's events. How is it that I can say meteorological but not relevant? Anyway, whenever weather conditions favorable to one exist, Foundation personnel embedded within the United States Coast Guard and Canadian Coast Guard are to assist in monitoring radio communications from civilian vessels in the active region for any reports of one sightings. Civilians spotting one are to be instructed not to attempt to approach, communicate with, or render assistance to any instance of it. The existence of 1-3 is attested to be in ghost stories circulated by the general public. Foundation media assets are to limit public dissemination of sightings of 1 instances. Subsequent to civilian sightings of any 1 instance, the Foundation is to intercept the vessel making the sighting upon its docking, debrief its crew, and issue Class A amnestics. At O5 discretion, Foundation vessels or US/Canadian Coast Guard vessels operated by Foundation crew may approach and follow instances of 1 for observation purposes. No vessel is to approach within 100 meters of any instance of 1. Following any shipwreck under conditions resembling an SCP-1174-1 incident, the Foundation is to locate the wreckage as soon as possible and retrieve any instances of 2 found in the vicinity for containment or termination as necessary. All available information about the wrecked vessels to be cataloged for use in identifying potential new instances of 1. The Foundation is to monitor emergency calls and social networking for any indications of civilian encounters with SCP-1174-2. Any person reporting a 2 sighting is to be detained, debriefed, and treated with Class B amnestics. And any dead 2 instances found afloat or washing ashore to be acquired by the Foundation and destroyed as soon as possible. Authorization is granted to employ Emergency Procedure 248 October Bravo in the case of an information leak regarding 2. Capture instances of 2 are to be housed in modified containment cells filled halfway with fresh water at a temperature of 2 degrees Celsius and fed standard containee rations twice per day. Instances of 2 capable of communication may be granted euthanasia at their request following a full debriefing. Damn! Description: SCP-1174 is a localized phenomenon occurring within Lake Superior along the border between the United States and Canada, consisting of visual hallucinations of ships appearing during periods of inclement weather, designated SCP-1174-1, and an unknown number of anomalous human beings associated with ships sinking after encountering 1, designated 2. Instances of 1 are capable of manifesting between October the 1st and November the 30th each year. Most manifestations have occurred during November witch cyclone conditions, producing rain or snow and wind in excess of 95 km per hour. However, 1 can manifest at any time during the active season when cloud cover and high winds are present. Instances of 1 are capable of movement at rates commensurate of that of the ship it resembles, and will appear and travel in no discernible heading along Lake Superior until such time as weather conditions improve, whereupon 1 will vanish. In no case has any instance of 1 appeared in or traveled to any area less than approximately 5 kilometers from the American or Canadian mainland. There are currently 7 known instances of 1. 5 of the 7 have been conclusively identified as resembling vessels known to have sunk in Lake Superior during 1's active season. 1-1. A fully rigged wooden warship of late 18th century construction, approximately 45 meters in length, flying the naval ensign of the United Kingdom, identity unknown. 1-2. A wooden shooter of mid-19th century construction, approximately 60 meters in length, identified as Lucerne, an ore carrier sunk in 1886. 1-3. A wooden steamship of late 19th century construction, approximately 75 meters in length, identified as Bannockburn, a freighter sunk in 1902. 1-4. A steel-hulled, steam-powered warship of early 20th century construction, approximately 40 meters in length, identified as Cerasoles, a French Navy minesweeper lost under unknown circumstances in 1918. 1-5. A steel-hulled steamship of early 20th century construction, approximately 75 meters in length, identity unknown. 1-6. A steel-hulled, oil-burning cargo ship of mid-20th century construction, approximately 220 meters in length, identified as Edmund Fitzgerald, a freighter sunk in 1975. 1-7. A steel-hulled, diesel-engine patrol boat of early 21st century construction, approximately 27 meters in length, identified as SPCS Irvine, a Foundation vessel sunk while investigating 1-6, 2007. This is not the first time I've seen the name of that boat, but it wasn't in this entry or anything to do with it, so nice to know that that boat, well, not nice to know, but now we know if that boat never comes up again, now we know why. Or at the very least, if the boat does come up again, we now know that those entries take place before 2007. Testing has indicated that all instances of 1 are visual hallucinations and do not exist as corporeal entities. 1 vessels do not appear on radar or infrared imaging, and attempts to fire upon them have resulted in armament passing through the vessel without causing damage. Upon coming into visual range of any vessel traveling through Lake Superior, one will attempt to establish communication by means appropriate to the period and capabilities of the vessel appearing, including use of flags, signal lights, Morse code, firing of flares, and radio. In all cases where contact is made, one will claim to be in immediate danger of sinking and will request that the vessel approach immediately to assist in evacuating its crew. In radio communication, the voice transmitted from one is always an adult male who identifies himself as a senior officer of the vessel requiring aid. Conclusive identification of the speaker with individuals known to have been aboard the vessels at the time of sinking has not been made to date. Any vessels approaching within approximately 75 meters of A1 vessel will suffer immediate and massive damage to their hull, resulting in the vessel sinking within minutes of approach. Forensic analysis of recovered wrecks is inconsistent, indicating damage consistent with collisions, weapons fire, attacks from aquatic megafauna, and rust. In one instance, a vessel approaching 1-2 appears to have spontaneously capsized without suffering any other damage to its hull. 1-6 and 1-7 are known to have sunk as a result of one contact. It is unknown whether the other instances of one sunk due to contact as well, or what form one phenomena may have taken prior to the appearance of 1-1. SCP-1174-2 are human beings present aboard vessels sunk as a result of contact with one. The two individuals, rather than dying as a result of drowning or hypothermia, remain alive and conscious after submerging, and are capable of continuing to live for an undetermined period of time in the lower elevations of Lake Superior. Aside from tissue necrosis as a result of long-term exposure to water, two specimens display no unusual health problems as long as they remain submerged at a temperature of 1 to 5 degrees Celsius and continue to show signs of age at a normal rate. Two individuals removed from the water or placed into a warmer environment will display symptoms of shock and/or heat stroke and typically die within 1 hour if not returned to cold water. Two individuals in the wild often subsist on fish and aquatic flora, while some have been noted to attack divers or each other. This behavior appears to be rare and discouraged by the community. SCP-1174-2 individuals typically live in communities at or near the site of their shipwreck and continue to possess full recollection of their lives prior to sinking. Most two individuals, unless suffering vocal cord damage as a result of their environment, retain the ability to speak and are capable of understanding each other while submerged. In interviews, captured two specimens have denied any explanation or knowledge of why or how they exist in their current state. There does not appear to be any upper limit on the length of time a two individual can remain alive in the absence of disease or natural hazards. The oldest known individual in captivity is a former crewman of the vessel D&C, currently 87 years of age, who became an instance of two upon that vessel sinking in 1957. The Foundation began formal study and containment of 1174 in 1975, after investigating several claimed sightings of the Edmund and Fitzgerald following its sinking in early November. Several former crew members of the vessel were discovered living in its wreck upon the first formal exploration thereof in May of the following year, and were taken into Foundation custody. Foundation folklorists have since connected ghost ship legends regarding the Bannock Burn sighting to sightings of the 1-3, and found references in Ojibwa folklore to a witch of Gichigumi, which lures fishermen to their doom. Alright, and that brings us to Bovine Icon and Guards, which is again Euclid. So we got 4 Euclids and 1 safe for this episode. Special containment procedures. Due both to its current immobility and public appearance, 1175 can only be contained in a limited fashion on site. A mobile observation outpost, designated OP-1175-1, is to be maintained at the edge of effect, changing locations at least once within every 24 hours. Every 24-hour period. Research into more permanent containment procedures is ongoing. Until they can be instituted, the site's public function is to remain active within modified hours. Sorry, I had to yawn. With modified hours of 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time, Wednesday through Monday, with on-site Foundation agents dressed as civilian private security to ensure all unauthorized individuals are removed from the premises before dusk. Description: SCP-1175 is the central display of the Blank Blank Park, an open-air artistic installation located in Redacted and covering a fenced-in area approximately 0.25 kilometers square. The anomalous properties of the affected objects are only active between sunset and sunrise. For reasons unknown, there's a 35% chance that the objects will become active at random intervals on Tuesdays, and thus the park is to remain closed on this day. SCP 1175-1 is a representation of a bull's head, 18.25 meters tall, made of welded cast iron plates and painted red. Upon initial creation, one was hollow, but current observation indicates the presence of machinery or some other form of activity within the structure. Specifically, attempts at radar and sonographic imagery have given inconclusive results, alternately showing the structure to be solid metal or to have a lack of any physical material whatsoever, including the shell. Is this something with the machine god, or is this something with the factory? This feels like it could be the MO of either of those groups. Since the appearance of 1175's subterranean anomalous features, one itself has become completely immobile. See Incident Report 2, with subterranean imagery showing pillars extending vertically, extending at a rate of approximately 0.6 meters per year. The purpose of these pillars is not currently known, though they have currently reached a length of blank meters, indicating an initial growth period of advanced speed. 1175-2 is the group designation of a series of 6 statues, each 2.59 meters tall, constructed of various metals in the shape of a human skeleton with a goat's skull. Each statue carries a weapon, one carrying a staff, one a glaive, 2 with short swords, and 1 with modified sickles. These statues become mobile during active periods, acting in a fashion similar to guards for 1175-1. They're not outwardly hostile to humans, though one or more will ought to remain in close proximity to any intruder to whom they have not been introduced, see Addendum 1. 1175-2 will only become hostile in 2 situations. The first being if a non-introduced individual attempts to make contact with one, or if any individual attempts to damage it, or if any individual is attempting to remove 2 or another installation from the park. At this point, whether or not they are in a currently active state, all instances of 2 will immediately emit sounds described as screaming or screeching and attack that person and either kill them outright or chase them to the edge of the affected area. If the targeted person or persons are killed, the remains are brought to 1, at which point a hinged portion of its mouth will open. No such feature was present in its initial construction, and the remains are placed inside before it closes. It is not currently known what occurs after this, as remote video and audio equipment lose all contact once the mouth closes. Alternately, if any structure of human construction is erected within a 0.9 kilometer radius of 1 and remains standing for longer than 24 hours, upon activation, all instances of 2 except for 1 will again emit the screeching noises and run to the construction at speeds of up to 75 kilometers per hour. Upon reaching the new structure, they will proceed to attack it with provided weapons as well as their fists and their horns until the structure is completely demolished, similarly attacking any humans who attempt to interfere. This reaction does not appear to be triggered by repairs, modifications, or extensions to the structures which existed within the area at the time of its appearance. This consists of the blank park itself, including its outer fence and office/gift shop, approximately 0.2 kilometers of state highway redacted that intersects the area, and 1 abandoned shack, since damaged beyond repair during a blizzard, later destroyed without incident. SCP-1175-2 have shown signs of individual intelligence, and appear to be able to communicate to each other, using lower decibel levels of noises similar to their attack calls. No variances or patterns have emerged, and attempts to initiate communications have thus far proven ineffective. 2 also appear to ignore non-human life, even in instances where birds or rodents have been observed directly defacing structures within the park during active periods. Superficial and structural damage to 1175-1 will repair itself through unknown means. Addendum 1. 1175 was first brought to Foundation attention on blankety blank blank when 3 local youths broke into the park at night and interacted with 2 during its active state. Foundation agents were made aware of the situations when local authorities had assumed the suspects to be under the influence of hallucinogenic substances due to a well-publicized raid on a narcotics supplier in the neighboring town of Redacted. After application of Class B amnestics, the suspects were given suggestive memories that they must have consumed food that was tainted with the narcotics. Extensive questioning of GP, owner of the park and creator of all pieces of art therein, has revealed that he was not responsible for the anomalous activities and is not aware of how they began. However, he was aware of their existence for approximately 1 month before the above incident, but never reported them to authorities or family members out of fear. It has become apparent that 2 somehow recognize Mr. P as their creator, or as an authority in some other fashion. They obey requested commands from him to an extent, and if he introduces an individual as a friend, 2 will ignore the individual from that point on, including allowing them to directly touch 1. As this ability to introduce others has not yet been successfully passed to other individuals, P has been designated as SCP-1175-3, but retained as director of the park to maintain public appearances and to facilitate Foundation activities. He is kept under constant surveillance, but has thus far not attempted to impede Foundation agents in any way, and has proven himself willing to offer any support and information he is able. Addendum 2, Incident Report 1175-2. On blankety blank blank, Foundation personnel attempted to remove 1175-1 from the park. Despite having been assembled off-site and transported to its current locations, all attempts to remove the structure failed, culminating in the destruction of a crane regulated to lift up to 20 times the weight that 1175-1 weighed at the time of installation. Attempts to excavate the ground beneath 1 or remove other structures from the park were repeatedly interrupted by 2, though not to the level of hostility if the anomalous pieces are attacked directly. It has been decided that, until more stringent protocols are able to be enacted, all materials to remain on site with additional Foundation agents for security. A nominal raise in park admission fees has been added to compensate for the expenditures. So it looks like it's not related to either of those things I said. It's just a really weird statue with goat-headed skeleton people that scream and beat the crap out of if you get too close. Interesting. So that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. I don't know what number it is other than it being higher than 233. Might be 235? Not sure. In the next episode, we'll be reading The Mellified Man, The Coupon Cutter, or Coupon Cutter, depending on how you pronounce it, Floating ICBM, Centralian Fire Demon, and a lovely bunch of coconuts, deedly deedly. If you liked this video, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads. I have confirmed that clicking the bell is only possible if you subscribe first, which is weird, but I guess it makes sense. So, if you, I don't know. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.